Let me tell you something that'll make you laugh or maybe just shake your head. Imagine waking up at midnight, checking your cameras, and seeing your HOA president throwing a full-blown party on your family land like she owns the place, fireworks, and all right under your nose. Yeah, that happened. And before you think I'm making it up, let me back up a second and set the stage. See, I wasn't born a city kid. I grew up in the woods, chasing chickens around my granddad's old farm, breathing in that sweet smell of grass and old hay bales, spending my summers dodging wasp nests and helping out with the cows when he still had 'em. My granddad, he was a stubborn old soul, the kind of man who'd fight a hurricane just because it messed up his fence line. He never sold an inch of his land, not when developers came knocking, not even when the new neighborhood popped up right up against our fence. He put up private property signs just to make sure nobody got any ideas. But then he passed, and the whole farm, what was left of it, came down to me. I wasn't even the oldest grandkid, but he knew I was the only one stubborn enough to keep it running, maybe out of respect, maybe just to keep his memory alive. That's how I ended up as the last holdout. The only person in the family still working the same dirt, bringing back the cows, trying to get the dairy up and running again because I knew how much it meant to him. You know what I mean? Some places, they're not just dirt, they're family. And then there's Karen. Oh, the type, the HOA president, the queen bee of the cul-de-sac, the woman with a clipboard in one hand and a phone in the other, ready to call in a code violation if your grass is 2 inches too high. She tried for years to get her hands on our land. When the neighborhood first went up, she was the one bugging my granddad, practically camping on our porch with her generous offers and promises of easy money. He never budged, and honestly, neither did I after he was gone. Thing is, Karen wasn't even popular in her own HOA. Too many rules, too much meddling, you know the drill. She'd send her son to mow your yard if you missed a week, then slap a $100 bill on your door for the favor. Folks grumbled, but nobody wanted to get on her bad side because the HOA could fine you for breathing wrong. Still, I thought as long as I kept my head down, she'd leave me alone. Boy, was I wrong. Turns out she'd been watching my schedule, probably saw I was only out at the farm part-time, splitting my weeks between the land and my apartment in town. One night, just as I'm dozing off, my phone pings camera alert. I check, and it's weirdly quiet, but I can hear music, laughter, the faint pop of fireworks echoing over the pasture, and I just know something's up. So I drag myself out there in the dead of night, half awake, still in my work clothes, and I roll up to the wildest scene I've ever seen on my own land tents. Lights, music so loud, you could probably hear it across the county. A whole mob of people, most of them teenagers, tearing it up like it's 4th of July. Who's at the center of it all? Karen with a red plastic cup giving orders like she's running for mayor. Now here's where it gets good. I could have lost it. Instead, I started recording, caught the DJ spinning, caught the fireworks, caught more than a few folks drinking underage and doing things that make their parents cry. Then I found Karen herself and told her straight, "Get these people off my land and stop using my property for your HOA parties, or I'm calling the cops." She spat, literally spat at my feet, called me a waste, told me I was letting the land rot. And I'll be honest, I almost laughed, because at that point I already had what I needed. So I called the police. Karen tries to play it off, yelling that my property is actually HOA land now, which is about as true as me being the Queen of England. Cops roll up, blue lights bouncing off the barn, and suddenly everyone's running for the hills except Karen and a handful of teenagers who are too drunk to find their own shoes. I show the officers my phone, video after video, point out the noise, the fireworks band, the open containers, the underage drinking, all of it. Karen tries to slip away, but one of the cops just raises his eyebrow and says, "Ma'am, we'll need your statement." She flips, blames the kids, blames the DJ, blames everyone but herself. But here's the twist, turns out. A couple of those kids are underage, and Karen's the one who brought the booze. The cops didn't even need me to press charges. The fines alone were enough to make her wish she'd never picked up a lighter. Word got out pretty fast. Nobody wants to be the parent who let their kid end up in a cell because of the HOA president's wild midnight bash. You'd think that'd be the end, right? But the fallout was just getting started. Karen lost her spot as HOA president so fast. Her head spun, and the embarrassment was so bad, she packed up and moved out a few months later. Her husband bailed her out of the fines, sure, but her reputation, that's gone for good. I stayed, of course, never did join the HOA, never will. I keep up with the neighbors, help out when I can, but I'll never trust a committee full of wannabe cops to tell me how tall my Christmas lights can be. You can bet your boots on that. Funny thing is, it makes you wonder what kind of world lets a handful of busybodies boss you around on your own land. I mean, where's the line? And if someone ever tried that on you, what would you do? Call the cops, start a feud, or just sit back and let them walk all over you? Anyway, that's my story. Thanks for sticking around. Hope it gave you something to laugh about or at least think over. Drop a comment if you've ever dealt with an HOA gone wild, or if you think folks like Karen deserve a second chance after a hard lesson. And if you've got your own story of small-town justice, well, don't keep it to yourself. Share it down below. Let's see whose story is wilder.